Why people quit teams that support work-life balance? Most companies today say the same thing. We support work-life balance. They offer flexibility, they encourage time off, some even have unlimited PTO. And yet they still lose really good people. So people quit teams that offer great work-life balance all the time. So the real question actually isn't do we care about work-life balance, but instead it's why does this balance still break down in teams that genuinely try to do the right thing? And why is this so confusing for leaders? This problem is super frustrating because it feels so unfair. Lots of leaders think that we are not toxic, we don't overwork people intentionally, we tell people to take time off, but their high performance still burn out and quit these teams. According to multiple workforce studies, a majority of employees who quit say they were burned out or disengaged long before they resigned. And many report that leadership was actually surprised by the decision. This gap between leaders' perception and employee experience is the core of the issue actually. Here's the first uncomfortable truth. Burnout is not caused only by long hours. Research consistently shows that burnout is driven by prolonged stress without any recovery or lack of recovery, lack of control over workload, constant cognitive load, and delayed or insufficient rest. In other words, you can work reasonable hours in a company that supports work-life balance and still burn out. That happens if recovery never truly happens. And that's the reason why flexible schedules don't automatically help. And unlimited PTO is known to not guarantee any rest. So good intentions actually don't equal good outcomes in this case. And that's because burnout is a systems problem, not a policy problem. Why supporting balance often fails in practice? Most companies rely on three assumptions. Assumption number one, people will take time off when they need it. But in reality, high performance often delay rest. And people avoid taking time off during really busy periods. Many wait until exhaustion forces them to take a break. The studies on unlimited PTO repeatedly show that employees often take less time off when there is no clear norm how much time to take off. Assumption number two is that managers will notice when someone is struggling. But in reality, burnout rarely looks dramatic at first. Performance is often really high, even while the energy is already declining. And disengagement from your work and from your team is often quiet and not loud at all. So by the time your performance drops, the damage is already done. Assumption number three is that our culture encourages balance. So culture without structure actually depends entirely on individuals making the best decisions. And we know that humans behave differently under pressure, and we are not always acting in our best interest, especially when it comes to detecting early burnout. The silent phase before people quit. Here's what actually happens before someone quits from burnout. There are no complaints, there's no conflict, no open dissatisfaction that you can detect. Instead, people stop planning breaks ahead, PTO becomes reactive instead of intentional, recovery time gets postponed repeatedly, and so energy declines gradually month by month. And this phase can easily last for months. And while it's happening from the outside, the employee looks fine, work gets done, and no alarms go off. But internally, the motivation is already dropping, emotional connection to your work is weakening, and leaving the company becomes an option in their head. By the time someone resigns, the decision is often already emotionally complete. What data tells us and what it doesn't. Here's the key insight. People's behavior changes before their performance does. And one of the clearest behavior indicators of disengagement is how people use or actually stop using time off. There are some common patterns that happen before someone quits. For example, you can see that this person has been working their stressful job for a while without taking any real breaks. They might also be repeatedly postponing taking PTO and saving PTO days but never actually using them. Or they might be taking leave only after extremely busy and stressful periods, when it's already maybe too late to prevent burnout. And most companies actually already collect this data because they need to track their team's PTO, but they don't look at it as a retention signal or an early burnout indicator. Some common retention solutions and their limits. So let's be fair, companies actually do try to prevent burnout in their teams because it's very expensive not to do it. What teams often implement are wellness budgets, mental health days, engagement surveys, manager training, and better benefits. And all of these help, but they share one weakness. They are all indirect, and there's still a lot of pressure on the employee to notice when they are at risk of burnout. And let's be honest, if this is your first time, you don't really see it coming until it's too late. And recovery from it might take years. So these well-meaning measures don't really show who is quietly depleting, when recovery is being postponed too long, and where burnout risk is building over time. These well-meaning methods often react after disengagement has already started. But this is where systems make a difference. This is where operational tools come in, and not to replace humans, but to support them. At Vacation Tracker, we just released a new set of simplified performance management features that use PTO data that we already track and collect tracked to detect patterns that would indicate burnout risk. And we are not just detecting the risk, but instead showing each employee their own individual energy scores. Also, when is the next best time to take time off, and we have a bunch of new features coming up very soon. So with a system like Recharge, we can actually surface long-term custom patterns from just using the PTO tracking data. And it shows trends that humans often miss. For example, my own energy dropping if I have prolonged taking a leave for too long. Tools like this normalize earlier conversation around burnout prevention, so it never becomes an actual problem that you need to solve after the performance and energy of your team members has already dropped too much. Vacation Tracker Recharge doesn't promise to fix burnout. It does something way more realistic. It turns PTO behavior into visible trends that prevents even the earliest signs of burnout. It highlights prolonged under-recovery, and it gives both the employees and the managers earlier awareness into their own energy management. Because ultimately your team's energy equals your team's performance. And since this awareness is built into Vacation Tracker along with smart recharging PTO suggestions, it makes taking action super easy. If you see that your energy score is dropping, you can recognize the risk of burnout and you can request PTO right away without leaving the app. So in conclusion, people don't quit because companies don't care if they burn out. They quit because burnout still happens even in the most well-meaning companies, and it's mostly because recognizing when your energy levels need recovery has been mostly invisible until now. Burnout is something that companies want to avoid, but it often gets detected when it's already too late to take action. So work-life balance isn't just about policies, it's about energy management over time. So if you want to retain great people, you don't just need good intentions, you need visibility into the quiet signals as well. And you need to do it while there is still time to act. Check out the Recharge by Vacation Tracker, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!